Hello, and welcome to EPR with your favorite environmental enthusiasts, Nic and Laura. On today's episode, we give our shout-outs. Laura and I discuss watching the Olympics. We sit down with Taiwo Ogunwumi. Wait, I thought you were supposed to read the hard ones. I don't know.
Hey, I invited him.
I know, that's right.
You have to say it.
I have to say it, that's right. So we sit down with Taiwo to talk about flood hazard response in Nigeria, how GIS can support efforts combating COVID-19, and getting lost in literally the middle of nowhere. And then finally, you are 10 times more likely to get bitten by a New Yorker than a shark. Which tracks, I think. That makes a lot of sense. I don't think that surprises anybody, actually. But as always, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Hit that music.
Our shout-outs for today go to Carol Sneed, Environmental Project Manager at Oregon Department of Transportation and a NEPA board member, and Bill Plumpton, Senior Vice President and Principal Environmental Scientist at Gannett Fleming, and an NAEP Fellow. For Bill for doing such a wonderful job for the last few years as the chapter's lead, and for Carol for taking over for him recently. So thank you both for helping our chapters stay engaged with us and doing great things. Also, don't forget to check out NAEP's Environmental Professionals Connection, which is an environmental hub for articles, research studies, and leadership blogs from hundreds of leading sources. Check it out at environmentalprofessionalsconnection.com. If you'd like to sponsor a future episode, please head on over to environmentalprofessionalsradio.com and check out the sponsor form for details. Let's get to our segment.
I don't know. We could talk about the Olympics. Have you been watching it at all?
We could talk about the Olympics. And no, it's one of those things where is it okay to say that I'm not watching the Olympics? But I just don't watch a lot of TV, and I don't. It's like if someone sent me a video and said, you need to watch this, I probably would. But I kind of didn't even really know what was going on and people talking about it. So now I know it's happening.
That's so funny. Well, I mean, it was every 4 years and well, I guess this is 5 years. It's a crazy thing. It probably shouldn't even be happening. They probably should have canceled it. But this was one of those things where the money basically didn't allow that to happen. Like they had to do it. The contracts were like, you can postpone, but only for a year or whatever it is. It's like you can't cancel it. So they had to do it anyway.
The conference, see how tricky that was just for our conference. Like how much more tricky that would be on that sort of scale. So it makes a lot of sense.
It does. And you're totally right. Like contracting guys, like a lot of you don't know. It's like, well, wait, why does this take so long? Why is it so hard to, contracting is written so that you can't get out of it. That's the whole point. Pandemic be damned, it's
probably why a lot, because there's some events you'll see that are backing down again. And then there's other ones that you're like, how come that one's still happening? It's probably contractual.
It's probably contractual. Yeah, it probably is. So there's
someone who's saying you're not getting
you're not getting
back, so you better do it anyway.
Right. Exactly. And, it's I think the Olympics in general are kind of they used to be the pinnacle of athletic achievement and all this other fun stuff, but it ends up being just a tale for the country.
I mean, isn't that the whole question now? Like, has it ever really been that? Or that's been the spin on it? Because
it's the thing with sports, right? Is they have advanced stats now. They're like, oh yeah, like my favorite one actually is basketball, right? Where like they had the 3-point shot for, decades before they realized, oh, it's worth more than 2. We should probably take more threes, right? Which is so funny to me because it's so obvious. It's like, you should be better at the shot that counts more. So practice that. But like for the Olympics, it was like, oh, these don't make money at all. This bankrupts cities.
Right.
Every city that has them had, so it's a real challenge on just that front. And then you add COVID to it. And maybe I think the ratings are way, way down. Some of that's probably related to, streaming in general because people aren't watching the same way they used to, especially not for, 5 years ago. So
no, I was just going to say, I don't have any actual numbers, but it feels like there's just less people with cable, and the Olympics came on cable, right? So now like same for me. That's why I don't see it. I don't have like a TV guide and a schedule and here's what's happening at this time.
Right. Yeah. And we actually only have the what's on NBC. So like because they're putting on a whole bunch of channels. And so we have the air channel, you can get the broadcast network. That's the only thing. It's also weird, because you can actually know the results of like almost everything before it happens. There's very few things that are live. And so like that also kind of takes out of it a bit. Like they did a good job with the swim. I like the swimming for whatever reason. I don't know why. I just really enjoy the swimming competition part of it. And I don't know. I watched,
you still have to respect the actual sports. I mean, some of the, like regardless of, whether they are the elitist of the elite, which in a lot of cases they are. I don't want to take away from any of that. But yeah, some of it's really cool to just be like, man, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's just kind of a crazy sports. But there's like also random sports like handball that show up. And I'm like, what on earth is this?
I think isn't skateboarding in this year?
Yeah, skateboarding is in. I mean, I don't know.
Long enough.
Yeah. But it's funny though. Like I didn't think it was very interesting. The free skate was better, but like there was one where they're just doing tricks and they try to do one trick 5 times and hopefully they don't fail 4 times is what it seemed like. And so it was just crazy. It was really boring. Like that one was really boring. I was really disappointed. And it kind of is weird because it's like but skateboard culture is probably anti-Olympics. I don't want to say that necessarily true, but
I mean, as with almost anything, there's people who are for it and people who are not.
Right. Yeah. But it was just funny because I just didn't think I thought it would be more interesting. I grew up playing like Tony Hawk on the, like the video game, and I'm like, what the hell?
Tony Hawk doing crazy stuff.
Yeah. And like the free skate was was more fun, but just doing the tricks. I was like, you're just doing one trick. Like, I mean, I had to string together 137 in a row in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. So I'm just saying.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And it is too. It is almost like, cool, you landed your kickflip. Now let's see all the other things you can do. And get to the end.
I know. And so it's like, okay, you went down a rail.
More than kickflips.
they went down a rail of 12 steps. I'm like, okay.
Oh, wow.
Have you guys not seen YouTube before? Because that happens. Like that's not even.
I think I had friends that were doing things more extreme than that.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's not extreme sports, right? There's probably like form and all that, which again, like skateboarding shouldn't be about form. It should be about like landing a sick trick.
Yeah. So it's more about falling on your ass and then
and walking away. That's where I quit.
Yeah, and walking away.
Falling really hard. Now I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, actually, I love this. My wife's dad got Lauren a skateboard for Christmas, and he was like
recently.
No. When they were kids.
Okay,
when she was a kid, not when her dad was a kid. That doesn't make any sense. When she was a kid, and he's like, I don't see what the big deal is. This is easy. This is probably not that hard. So he got on the skateboard. He immediately slipped and broke his elbow.
Yeah, the skateboard's supposed to come with not shoulder pads. What I'm talking about, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Elbow and knee pads.
Elbow and knee pads, yeah. Yeah, which she had and he didn't wear.
Right.
But
I don't think I ever wore pads. That was not cool.
Right, exactly. I didn't either.
At least not when I was a kid.
Yeah, but I also didn't skate, so I guess that's kind of
Well, I got my skate shirt on today, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's fun. I had a lot of skateboard friends, but not me. I was just the boards were not cheap. Like a good one, if I remember correctly, it was like $100 and something. So that wasn't happening. Yeah.
And actually, I talked to a guy that owns a skate shop here in Syracuse. They just opened Flower Skate Shop, and he was telling me that the price, because of the price of wood is so high, like it's the price of skateboards is like 4 times and really hard to get. So yeah, things you don't think of.
Yeah, man, it's funny. This is how you like this is absolutely a college story, but like my roommate and I bought a skateboard, just the board. Because we couldn't afford the wheels. And we were learning how to flip the board, without the wheels on it, which doesn't make any sense. But we're like, yeah, this is so awesome. We're going to get wheels and then we'll be able to use this thing. Like, what are we going to do? Rent it? Because there's only one of them and there's 2 of us. It was not my finest moment,
That's great.
So I still think fondly about that.
Anything else in the Olympics you've been watching?
So you say swimming's my favorite. I try to get into track and field when I can. I saw the U.S. men's basketball team win, and that was cool. But yeah, the rest of the world is much better at basketball than they used to be, which is kind of funny. Which is kind of the joy of the Olympics, right? You bring sports that you don't know about and to other areas of the country or the world, and they pick it up, and that's absolutely what happened.
I do like to see the global competition, just like getting outside of your own country's bubble.
Yeah, it's really neat. And you see some countries that you probably would never have heard of doing really well in sports, and I think there was one of the track medals, I think it was the 200 or maybe the 400. I think it was the 400 meter dash. Like the guy that won is from the Bahamas, and that's his thing, and he's great at it. And it's really cool, and it's, the Jamaica's great at sprinting. And then, there's other countries that you just, like, oh yeah, that's really cool to see them be really great at these things. And, Kenyan runner, long distance runners kind of stuff. It's just really neat.
I will never not think of Cool Runnings anytime I go to Jamaica in an Olympic sport.
Right. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And that's
which gives away my age. And at this point, I think we could get to our interview.
Yeah. All right, cool. With our international, we have our first international guest. So, that ties right in. So, all right, let's do it.
Welcome back to EPR. Today we have a very special guest. Taiwo Ogunwumi is on the show. I might have said that name wrong. Taiwo, would you tell us your name, please?
Yes, my name is Taiwo Ogunwumi. Thank you so much. And I can tell you that you really pronounce the name so well. Absolutely.
Thank you. Doing my best over here. I've been following Taiwo on LinkedIn for a while, and the work that he's doing is just awesome. So I'm super excited just to have him on the show and talk about the projects. And I'm not sure how. I think through some of my GIS professional connections on LinkedIn is how I've been following him. But he's doing work in Nigeria, Germany, and other places around the world. So welcome, Taiwo.
Thank you so much, Laura. It's a very good privilege to be here today, to be on the same podcast with you. Super interesting to see all your amazing work. And it's a privilege to be here today. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Awesome. So you have a lot of projects. I don't even know where to begin to introduce you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the work that you do?
Yes, basically, just like you mentioned, I have a lot of projects. When people tell me that, I just feel like, no, I don't have a lot of projects. It scares me off sometimes. But actually, I'm a geoinformation professional. I'm an environmental risk researcher. At the same time, I'm a disaster reduction consultant. And I have a background in geography. At the same time, I had some experience working within the humanitarian organization, supporting them with my GIS skills. And not that alone. Over the year, I've had a great interest about the environment, and most importantly, climate change impacts have been in my core interest. So, it enters into what, I call myself, like the fact that I'm a GIS professional, I'm an environmental researcher at the same time too. I'm a disaster consultant.
Yeah. And like I say, it's incredible, a long list of things, which is really neat. But so we'll start with geography. What got you into it?
Yes, basically geography. All started after my after my secondary education. We call that high school, probably in the United States.
Yeah. Right.
I really want to be an accountant. But, there's an entry exam that you have to do to become an accountant. So I couldn't make it so well to become an accountant. Then I decided to opt for geography. It wasn't even what I really want to do at first. But I really want to go to a school in Nigeria. It's called University of Ibadan. It's the first and the best school in Nigeria, though it's a federal university actually. So I had to opt for geography. And at my first year, I had to get along because, it became one of the things I had to do. And within the year 2, year 3, I got super more interested. And that was when I even discovered GIS. I had my first, GIS course at the 3rd year. And I had A in the course. I can equally say that's my first A. I never had a A all through the year.
Yeah. Right.
I get a lot of B's, but so the GIS course started then in year 3, and it was super interesting. So I had A, and that's what built me more into, geography and GIS.
That's great. Yeah. And
that's fantastic. Oh, I was just, when I was looking at your history and you said geography, I was just wondering how you got there. So thanks for telling us that. And then school is different, obviously, in Nigeria than it is in the US. And I'm curious, though, like if geography wasn't something that like you kind of fell into it sounds like, what's it been like learning about the environment and climate change and all of where you've kind of gone from just geography to what you're doing now?
I think it has been so much super interesting because whether we like it or not, the environment shapes us. The environment determines what we do in general. Even if you're a chartered accountant, even if you're a lawyer, definitely you exist in space. And the environmental process shapes whatever you are doing. As a matter of fact, the soil, the water, the rocks, the trees, those are resources that equally shape your existence. So finding myself as a geographer, and someone who's more passionate about environmental topic precisely, it's a great joy for me. And, understanding how nature, shapes us, at the same time, understanding how the human impacts on the environment, it's one of the key things. And as I grew, probably, and after my university, I began to understand more about, climate change. I mean, despite the fact that at school, they've talked about climate, weather, and so many other, elementary themes like that, I began to shed more light to see, climate change impacts. And I grew up in a place whereby, a community whereby we often tend to have flooding. But neither did I even know that, flooding comes as a result of several factors, whether human or natural factor in the instance. And then begin to come to light that, these are majorly attributed to climate change. So this gave me more interest to really know, how does the environment shape? And it's built me to, do my career in that particular line, because I feel that, generally all over the world, it becomes so essential that we need to be very, keen about environment, examine the process, study it, and then it then determines how we can, place ourselves within the environment.
Yeah. And that's really well said. And actually it sparked something for me. Like, so you work in like flood hazard response. You mentioned that flooding in particular, and, you work there in Nigeria. And then, so in the US, we develop and update flood maps across the country. So does Nigeria have a similar program to that? And how involved are you in developing those flood protection maps?
Oh, wow. Super interesting. I'm going to discuss that. And then the thing is that, like I said earlier, there's consistent flood, not just West Africa alone, not just Nigeria, but as a matter of fact, statistically proven, flooding still remains one of the, highly occurred, natural hazard that exists every time. And as a matter of fact, in Nigeria, precisely, we keep having flood every year. The government are doing so excellently in providing early warning maps, but those maps, they are not in detail to the community. So imagine you showing me a map that shows states that's going to be flooded, and I'm staying within a particular state. You get my point now? I didn't even know the level of risk of my county. So if you tell me that my county is going to be flooded, then should I start running away? Obviously, I will not run. It would be so good if we can equally know the level of flood risk, whether high, low, where do we have high, where do we have low. So this give me, the idea of, I've spent so much more time as a GIS professional, I have a very good passion about environment and climate change impacts. Then I just discovered that, let me have an initiative that can bring together friends, most of my mentees who are mentors, who are doing GIS, to come together and see how can we use our skills to reduce flood impacts in Nigeria. I believe so well that when people are better prepared, right, they can be able, to curb the impact of flood. So that even if flooding comes, when you are better prepared. So for instance, now this podcast now, I got an invitation. So I'm so much prepared that, today, this time, this might happen. Do you get the point now? Yes. So early warning becomes so very important. So I decided to have an initiative that brings about youth together to see how we can prepare this map for the people, because this happens every year. A lot of people lose their houses. Not just that alone, not just human properties and life that are being lost. We also lose ecosystem. Remember, we lose ecosystem, trees, mangrove. The goals deteriorated due to this natural hazard. And don't forget, environment contains a lot of resources. So this built my passion to do this. Currently, in my own country, we don't have local context flood risk, map that can make people to better prepared. And as a matter of fact, not just this alone, we see people are very vulnerable. When I mean vulnerable means that, access to early warning information, you get better preparedness. When these are available, it makes us to be able to manage climate change impacts. In as much as, climate change is in existence and then the impacts might continue, but at the same time, we need to adapt. So that's what led to, my contribution to see how I can, support the national government or the emergency institution in my home country with flood risk map, and as well as, generally within the whole nation.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's great work, though. I'm really excited to hear more about that as it comes through. It's really cool.
I'm just smiling. I'm like, this is so cool to be able to talk to somebody. It's evening time there. And time zones away and talk about these issues and the work that you're doing. So cool. So you're also writing a research paper on climate change perception by the community members in Nigeria. So how's that going? What prompted you to write it?
Yes, we have the whole talk on climate change on TV, on radio. There are different people, and Not everybody is well educated. Not everybody is studying geography. So imagine I'm an accountant. I don't worry in my climate. I only wake up in the morning, I see sun. I wake up in some time of the season, there's rainfall. You just come and tell me what's climate change. I don't know what you're talking about. So despite the fact that, there are different people who just heard the word climate change, who Google online and saw different definition. People don't even know why there's, where there's occurrence of some natural hazard. People don't even know why we have heat waves. A lot of people don't even know why we have cyclone at some part of the world.
Right.
It becomes important in the context of my country to know what is people's perception about climate change, because I believe that your perception shapes your response to anything, right?
Yeah.
So if you tend to know, oh, well, this is what I perceive about money, then I'm going to know how I can make money, or probably I'm going to know what I should use money to do. So very, very essential. So the project is essentially to know what are the people's perception about climate change, their level of awareness, where have they heard about climate change before, what's their view about it. So it's just to be able to know. And through this, the result of this research will make it more and more very easy to advocate more. People don't even know their contribution towards the occurrence of climate change.
Right.
There are so many community people that burn fossils, that use, that emit gases. They are not aware of the repercussion that this is having, on the environment itself. Yeah. So they don't know. So they tend to know, so that if this kind of research look at the gap of what is going on, then they can be more sensitized. They can be more, aware. There will be a possibility to increase their awareness about climate change and the causes of it. I believe that if we are looking forward to a better future, right, it is very important that people are aware of our human contribution to nature.
Yes.
How our actions is affecting the environment. And that's the essential. So that's the major goal behind me working on this project.
What a great initiative. So how far along are you in the project?
Yes, right now, I think still on data collection. I've written a lot of, the concept, the literature, the framework about it. But now the most important thing is to do data collection. And it's in Nigeria precisely. So definitely I have to reach out to some of my friends there to do the data collection for me. And it's within a very local context, not really a national thing, because it's not a PhD. It gets definitely. And hopefully it gets better. I also write some, a key opinion, write up to the Guardian sometime last month, and it's on understanding climate change and slow onset hazard. So it's an article that tries to look at the relationship between climate change and slow onset hazard, like drought, desertifications, and the likes.
Yeah, anybody who was into GIS and interested in environmental issues around the world and flood risk assessments, all these things, you should definitely be following Taiwo. He's always sharing and putting all this great information. Another thing he's working on is a geohazard risk mapping initiative. So tell us about that one.
Geohazard mapping initiative was established last year. And one of the goals is that we want to see how we can deploy youths who are skillful using GIS to address the issue of climate change impact in Nigeria and Africa.
Oh, wow.
And when we look at Nigeria, we realize that's one of the major climate change impact that people feel every year is flooding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then my exposure, my experience, my educational experience, my work experience, and made me to understand that GIS is one of the very good tools that we can use to model environment, model nature.
Yeah.
So that was the first bedrock. The second bedrock is the fact that I look at the Sustainable Development Goal 11. That's the SDG Goal 11 and 13. 11 is all about sustainable cities and community.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
How can we make the cities to be sustainable if there's several natural hazards and we cannot make people to be better prepared? Secondly, climate action. Yet we know there's climate change already. To what extent can we have a platform that tries as much as possible to bring up an action to reduce climate change impact? And that's the reason why we have the initiative. The initiative have a lot of youths, close to 25 and above, and who are very good at using geographic information system technology, to create maps. What do we use this map to do? We map flood within several communities in Nigeria, and we try as much as possible to share this map with the emergency institution at state and at federal level, because we believe that that's another way we can support them. They are doing so excellently, their parts, and then they are trying to make map for, at national and at state level. But we go down to community level because that's, going so down to the local context so that people can be better aware of flooding. So that's one of the goals of the initiative. And so far, so good. I mean, we're able to make a lot of maps, close to over 25 maps. And at the same time, too, we host several other international events to see how we can contribute to, mapping building footprints. Yeah. Because, when you say a place will be flooded, it will also good for us to know how many buildings are going to be flooded. Part of what the initiative does during the last 4 months was that we developed a web platform which is accessible to the public, where you can search. Yes, this is a flood map in the community. Where's my house? Just to Google your own Joe codes. Yeah. So, super interesting, making you yourself to know your flood risk level. Hopefully, we hope that there will be more, advancement in Nigeria, there will be more, awareness in Nigeria to sort technology that can be make, better, so that people can make a better use of it. So that's the whole goal of the initiative. So, it's just to, to reduce climate change impacts and make people to better prepared and support the national government.
Yeah, and it's great work. And it's a really good point too. So every community is different. Every flood risk is different for different people. And everybody cares about the risk to their house. Everybody cares to the risk to their property, to their things. And so it's a great thing that you're doing. And I have to say, for those of you listening, if you think Taiwo's not doing enough, don't worry, he's doing more. You're also a GIS consultant to the UN Migration Agency, supporting their COVID-19 response program for internationally displaced persons in northeastern Nigeria. Another really cool thing that you have on your plate. So help me understand, how does GIS help support the COVID-19 response?
Quite well that northeastern Nigeria is a part of Nigeria that have an issue of insurgency that displaces a lot of people, coupled with the issue of climate change. Mm-hmm. We have drought, low access to water insecurity in that particular place. So this makes a lot of international organizations, to come to their rescue, to support them, to create water for them, provide food for them. And that's what the international organizations are doing in that particular zone. So coupled with COVID-19 now come. Imagine a lot of people living in a camp, a small camp that contains 6 to 7 people. So you imagine, it was so good before COVID-19, right, that they can live and sleep together. But COVID-19 strike, then there'll be a lot more going to happen in this regard. Yeah. So that's one problem. Second problem is the fact that access to water, washing their hands. So there are so many projects that have been done by UN Migration in Nigeria, within all the camps to provide water, that's in form of sanitation, to do hygiene promotion. But what is my major role as a GIS expert?
Yeah,
I need to be able to map access to boreholes, develop a database to map several facilities within the camps.
Yeah.
At the same time, it might also be very important for us to use GIS to be able to map places that we can be able to drill borehole and get water. And that's what they call groundwater mapping. So you see, I've had a lot of work experience in that regards, within the humanitarian context. Another thing you need to do is to create dashboard, interactive web platform dashboard that people that the project manager can interact with and be able to know how many beneficiaries do we have, how many water hand washing stations do we have. Because, when COVID-19 comes up, it becomes very important that they have to install hand washing stations, where people can wash their hand regularly to reduce the transmission. So I have to map all these things with, GIS. I also have to teach the field team who have to collect some survey, geocoded survey. That is so we can know at what camp do you collect this information. Right. There are so many programs they run that involve understanding people's perception about COVID-19 also. And they need, to collect data on this with geo information, which can be mapped. So we can use it to make a map, determine the spatial variation in their perception about COVID-19, spatial distribution in the hand washing station. That is, at a glance, if you look at the camp, you can know, we have 20 hand washing stations here. Oh, this place is county. Okay, let's look at one here. So that was my major goal there as a consultant. So creating map, building database for them, at the same time creating an interactive dashboard that the project manager can use to assess the project impact.
Just incredible stuff. Yeah, and something I think a lot of us take for granted. I mean, just being able to wash your hands is a simple thing, but it isn't everywhere. That's really, really, really great work you're doing.
Yeah. So speaking of what it's like to live in other parts of the world and in places we're not familiar with, Taiwo, I would love to know if you have any stories. We like to talk to people about the work they've done out in the environment and in nature and in the field. So I was wondering if in your GIS work, if you've done very much work in the field.
Oh, yes. I had a lot of travels. Before I became a consultant, I used to work with one of the international NGO as a GIS officer in there. And, I had to go to feed to meet some local feed data collector precisely to supervise them. So on this note, I traveled to one part of northeastern Nigeria. And on getting there to the feed, unfortunately for me, I won't say fortunately, I was alone. I really lose track of those guys who are the local guys who are going to do the survey. And my phone is off.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking the language. I don't know what I'm going to return back to.
Yeah.
The starting point we were, and I was just looking around. I began to talk to them. Hello. They were speaking a different language. That's Hausa in Nigeria. I can't speak the language. I'm getting scared, like, oh my God, what do I do in this place? How can people access me? I don't have access to my phone. And this is an insecure zone where you have a lot of terrorists. I don't know. Gosh. Surviving is going to be so difficult. I've never been so scared like that in my life before. And I was like, oh God. Because people always tell me, Nigerian work is not safe. You need to be very, very careful. You go into the field is so dangerous. And the passion I have for people, the passion I have for the sector itself made me to still dedicate myself to use my skill. We get a lot of people who use their GIS to several sectors, GIS to health, GIS to transport. And I decided to just make my own to GIS to humanitarian activities, at the same time GIS to environmental assessment and analysis. So one of the things that I encountered at that point in time, which I can never forget. I can't just never forget. But it's fun. It's one of those things that you have to undergo.
Yeah, of course. It was comedy is always tragedy plus time. So at the time, I'm sure it was scary. But looking back, you're like, man, wasn't that something? It's always a story to tell. It really is. So yeah, I'm glad you made it back. I'm glad you're good. Oh man, yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one to be in for sure.
All right. So we know that you do a lot of work in Nigeria. Do you actually live in Nigeria?
Not at the moment. At the moment, I'm currently in Germany. And why I'm in Germany is the fact that I'm currently doing my master's at the United Nations University in Germany. Actually, it's a joint. It's a joint master's with the University of Bonn and United Nations University, and I'm studying environmental risk. So, I'm trying to do my master's in environmental risk and human security. So you see how that really relates together.
Yeah, for sure.
At the moment, I'm not in Nigeria, but all my projects is for my country. All what I do is my country. I have a lot of communication in my country. I get a lot of people who ask me, Taiwo, are you still in the country? We don't really understand. Are you in Nigeria or you're in Europe? It's difficult for us to know. Even on your phone, we still have access to your line, your Nigerian line. You didn't change it. I was like, yes, I didn't change it. I still maintain my Nigerian line, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm just here for my program. So I only have a single project that I've done here in Germany, and is on drought in Germany. So I had a publication some couple of months ago on drought in Germany, and I think that's the only project I've done here. Every other project has been majorly in Nigeria because I always feel that countries like Europe, they have a good running system. Whereas there's a lot of gap that that I can always feel. Some experience that I can always share in my country. So at the moment, I'm in Europe. Hopefully, to be back to my country soon.
Yeah, have you traveled a lot? Do you have a favorite place?
Oh, yes. I was in Amsterdam.
Nice.
Favorite. I'm traveling to France this weekend.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Yeah.
Next weekend, this is weekend anyway. Like the next Saturday, going to France. Yeah. And I can't also wait to be in Belgium end of the month. So, my favorite country is that I would love to visit is the United States.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I think all the cities on this podcast, I would love to visit the United States. Very good country. I like actually.
Yeah.
But I love to travel. Traveling has always been my passion from small. even though, you desire to travel, but at the same time, for someone who's in Africa, there are so many, constraints to traveling, meaning that there must be, a very, very substantial purpose of your traveling. You don't just say you want to go to embassy to go to the United States or any other country to do what. So, but it comes handy now that, I can access several parts of European countries, go to France, go to Belgium, at some point. It's super good to see a new city, to learn new culture. And that's what I really enjoy, to eat new food, even though I don't like food.
Yes.
But obviously, I just like to see new things. So it's a very good thing for me. Another thing I always like to do is like visit the museum. I do this sometimes, visit the museum, go to, forest to see nature, have a good sense, a good air quality in contrast to where we are in the urban city. So I haven't been to much places. Hopefully for the end of the year, maybe I will have traveled to like 10 countries. Not sure.
Yeah. Awesome. That'd be really fun, for sure.
Yeah, you have to tell us when you're coming to the U.S.
Yeah, for sure.
I will,
you have
to. I will definitely notify you I'm coming to the U.S.
And I will tell you when I'm coming to Nigeria or wherever.
Yeah, right.
I will really host you. I will take you to the most ghettos in Nigeria, at the same time the urban city in Nigeria, and I'm super sure that you enjoy yourself. You like the people there, the culture.
Oh yeah. Of course, yeah.
Forget about the impression I might have, but this is a very good country. You should come someday.
I was already thinking, why isn't NAEP? We need some NAEP travel groups or something.
Yeah. Seriously, that would be really fun. Yeah, I would love to go, and it'd be great to visit. And like I say, travel is so much more fun too when you have someone that in a country, because you learn a lot more about it. Is you can do like the tour, you can go to the special space and like, oh yeah, this is what everybody's seen, but to really get a feel for it.
Take it all the cool places.
What I'm trying to say is Laura and I will take you up on that. And that's what we're saying. So
exactly. I give you this today. Today, whenever I want to visit Nigeria, to let me know.
Okay.
I fly to the country anytime.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
So, in as much as I'm aware, then I'll take you. Thorne, Abuja, Lagos. My private visit Northeastern Nigeria too, so you can also see more, because the Northeastern Nigeria has a different, climate and a different environment. Precisely, they have less rainfall. So, I'm probably going to call it an arid region, in a sense, in contrast to the southwestern parts. So, it's a very, very nice place. I have a lot of, culture that you can see, and different people, different languages. But it's going to be super fun. And I'm so much sure that you have heard about Lagos. So,
yeah. That would be really cool. That would be really, really cool. And I know we're getting close to the end of our time here. So what do you do when you're not working? What do you do for fun? What is your fun or your hobby, your favorite one?
I think aside working, a lot of people always tell me I work too much. That's
right. Yes, I understand.
Tell me, I'm not sure. You don't even enjoy your life. All the time you're on computer. I call you today, you're on computer. 2 days I call you. What are you doing? You and this word, making word impact. Do you even have time to have fun?
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh yes, I do. I think right now in Europe, one thing I do mostly is that maybe weekend I go to swim.
Yeah.
Or I take my bicycle and ride all over to see new places, within the city. That's 2. 3, I see movies sometimes, just on a random. But I can tell, to be frank, I don't really do much of fun. I only go in and out. To be frank, in and out. That's just the truth. So people always query me and say that, guy, you do a lot of stuff. It's true. But catch fun, obviously I do anyway.
Yeah.
But not all the time. I don't just get carried away.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're speaking of I think both of us are the same. It's just sometimes you get wrapped up in it and you spend hours and you're like, how late is it?
I find a partner finally. I thought I'm the only one existing in space that is so much cleaner about work. So I know that Nic also is the person that works too much.
Yeah.
Obviously, I play football sometimes, or swim. Those are things that people don't really know about me. Just random fun. You get why I can say that I dedicate my time, to do much of work, and I spend most time thinking about innovation. And at the same time, because I mean, sometimes people will tell me, Taiwo, can I know when you'll be free so that we can? I said, free? I'm not sure I have a free time. When you say, you're looking for free time? No.
Yeah.
You can't find free time here. Yeah. Every day come with different agenda. So when you're looking for free, just tell me whatever you want me to do, how we do it. And so I think another thing I spend my time doing much more is to support youth within the industry, most especially the environmental industry and GIS industry, precisely, who are just coming up, who need support. I realized that, a lot of people need guidance. I receive a lot of messages on my LinkedIn and Twitter, and people just say, oh, well, please, I don't know. I look at your page, I look at your story, and I really want to be like that. So I think one of the things that I spend my time doing, aside to myself, is to dedicate, to advise, to guide people, young youths, undergraduates, postgraduates, on, how best projects and other, career, this thing like that. So I think that's another thing I do aside for myself, and at the same time too, I think I spend more time with my family anyway.
Yeah. It's important. You got to put time in. You got to put time, no matter what, you got to find some time for family. You do. You have to.
That's great. So I was thinking, if we do come to visit Nigeria, let us know when you have a project you need volunteers for, so we can combine that work travel thing. Cause
there you go. Yeah. So we're having fun and working. Yeah.
You got 3 volunteers.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm getting 2 additional international volunteers. Oh, well, projects will always exist. Anyway, I think project will always exist. Definitely. We have a lot of projects. Projects, I'll keep you guys updated. I mean,
please do.
We need more people. More experts like you, not even just a volunteer. More experts like you both.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we potentially have a lot of experts listening. So how, if someone wants to contribute or support the work you're doing, how can they do that?
Yeah, at the moment, I look forward to have, professionals who are really, really into environmental impact assessment, GIS, disaster reduction, researcher and experts, basically, and consultants. I mean, I would really, really love to have them in my initiative right now, because I need more professional, experts, people who are doing stuff related to flood, probably doctors and professors in this regard. So I'm seeking for most of them. At the same time, probably people within the space industry, people who use Earth observation data sets to do a lot more, or probably environmental conservative people, experts precisely. So to do that, I think probably, you can access me on my LinkedIn, definitely, Taiwo Ogunwumi, or basically through my initiative website, www.georiskmap.org. So that's pretty much a way to equally access me. If at all we can do things together, I'm open for a lot of collaboration, most especially when it involves, addressing the issue of climate change impacts, how we can have a better disaster management, how we can conserve nature-based solution to climate change, generally on that context. Because I feel that, the environmental issues in the world, it's not for a single professional. There must be a heavy collaboration. There must be, several ideas coming from different people together. And I believe this is the only way we can be able, to have a better and sustainable environment.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I couldn't agree more. So, yeah, that's basically our time. And like I say, it's been so great having you on. A lot of really fun stories, a lot of really great work you're doing. And now we know you're working too much. So, but hey, it's okay, so you're in good company. So it's great work. Thank you so much for being here.
It's very inspiring. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you, and look forward to that trip whenever we can make that happen.
For sure.
You should definitely make it happen, because now I'm holding you both onto this, that you come into my home country, Nigeria.
Yeah. It's recorded. Yeah.
So I anticipate to see you both. And also, I want to commend you for what you're doing. Bringing people together from all over the world. Regardless of the race or the ethnicity. Very, very super interesting. Hopefully, this is a platform whereby, people can hear. I listened to all the previous podcasts you guys did, and super interesting. I've learned a lot from other highly influential people within the world. And it's really, it's so inspirational. Thank you for what you guys are doing. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
It's always fun to talk to everyone.
It really is. Yeah, I love because it brings different perspectives. We learned some new things about, from you this week that we wouldn't have if we didn't talk to you. I love that. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Taiwo.
Thank you.
That's our show. Thank you, Taiwo, for joining us all the way from Germany. So much amazing work. It's so inspiring. Keep it up. Be sure to check us out each and every Friday. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review before you leave.
See you, everybody.
Bye.